The City of London Corporation, the big banks in the city have all come out in favour of remaining in the EU. So you're taking a position that's sort of counter to the mainstream of the city. Do you think they're all wrong? Do you think that they're wrong that staying in the EU is the best thing for the British finance industry in the country?
I think the big banks have taken a cynical, self-interested view. They've spent hundreds of millions, if not billions, complying with European directives, erecting enormous barriers to entry, vast compliance departments. Those investments in the EU mean that they can keep out competition. That's why they want to stay there.
So if the UK votes to leave the EU, you'd like to see all that regulation dismantled?
The EU is imposing regulation onto the UK to make it less competitive in financial services.
You think the EU financial regulation is an attack on the UK finance industry, effectively?
I don't think, I know.
Okay.
You've got financial transaction tax coming down the pipe. You've got pension Solvency II for pension funds coming down the pipe. And a whole raft of other legislation, all aimed at London.
But the big banks want to stay in, even so.
The banks want to stay in, but the insurers want out, the hedge fund managers want out, the fund managers want out. So don't be swayed by the big marketing budgets of Goldman Sachs.
Okay. Now, you've been a big supporter of the Conservative Party over the years. I think you've donated, how much would you say you've donated over the years?
I think I've donated better part of £400,000.
About £400,000. Now, recently you've said that you're going to stop donating if David Cameron remains Prime Minister.
I have.
Why is that?
2 years ago, David promised the party that he was on balance a Eurosceptic, that he would go to Europe, he would secure significant reforms. If he could not secure significant reforms, then in the promised referendum, he would recommend that we left. What have I seen? I've seen basically no reforms, and yet David becoming more and more vehement in defence of the EU. And what has upset me even more is skewing the machinery of government to support the Remain camp. I fear this campaign has been conducted in such a biased way that it's going to cause enormous ructions within the genuine Conservative Party.
I think you said if Boris Johnson or Michael Gove becomes the leader of Conservative parties, you would consider supporting the party still, is that right?
I think they've done a sterling job. I think they've done a brave job, because they came from a position where Leave was way behind in the polls. They did not take the narrow political calculation. They fought for what they believed in. And if it's Boris or Michael or Ian Duncan Smith or those people that have been resolute in doing what they think is the right thing to do, then I'd be delighted to back them.